Hello, my name is Elizabeth Sprague, and this is my statistics final presentation. I chose was horse racing. What I looked at was the tipster bets. What I did was I analyzed 100 bets from one tipster out of the 39,000 different options and the 31 different tipsters that were in the data set I picked. Why I chose this data set. I chose this data set because I thought it would be interesting to compare to different bets for horse racing, especially since now is a big horse racing season. As well, I thought it could be cool to see what would be typical and what might be far off as an outlier. For my project specifically, I looked at one tipster and compared his or her odds. I only looked at one tipster and only around 100 of his bets because I thought it would be a good enough sample size to get enough information that would help in this project. As well, I didn't want it to be too confusing by adding in another tipster and even more results. But even just using one tipster, I was able to find everything I needed for this project and about my data set. I was able to get clear results and analyze my data carefully. This graph is a histogram. This histogram shows the trends in the horse betting. From this, you can see that the histogram is skewed to the right, as while the data is clumped towards the left, the tail ends off to the right. You can see that the majority of the data lies between 0 and 16, and that there is some over by 22, but it is mainly a data set that the data is spread close to each other. This diagram is a box and whisker plot representation of my data. From this you can see that the minimum is 2, the maximum is 22, and while doing this I found that the quartile 1 is 4, the quartile 2 is 5, and the quartile 3 is 8. I got some calculations. By using a Google spreadsheet, I found the mean, which was 6.2236, which is also known as the average. I then found the median, which was 5.25. Then I found the mode, which turned out to be 3.25. Next, I calculated the standard deviation, which is 3.7. The measure of central tendency that would best fit my data set would be the mean, as it gave the average and central point of my entire set, which is the sample size of 100. The spread of my data set is that the data points are mainly close and clumped together around the average. However, one number is really far out, being 22, which makes it look like it has a wide spread. But this could be an outlier, as it is very different from the rest of my set. Next, I calculated the z-score. The formula for that is z equals x minus m divided by the standard deviation. Then what I did was I said z is equal to x minus 6.2 divided by 3.7. From that I found the x until I got the x being 12.285. Next, I found the outliers. To do this, I subtracted the Q3 minus Q1 first. So that was 8 minus 4, which gave me to 4. To find what the outlier might be, I then took the 4, times it by 1.5, giving me 6. I then added that 6 to my quartile 3, which was 8, giving me 14. This then shows us that anything that is 14 or above is an outlier to my data set. I was right in the beginning when I said that I thought the 22 looked odd, because the 22 would then be an outlier. Then what I did was I tried to find what the 95th percentile of my data set. To do this, I took the formula z equals x minus m divided by standard error, which is standard deviation divided by the square root. To do this, I then did z equals x minus 6.2 divided by 3.7 divided by the square root of 100. I then got 1.634 equals x minus 6.2 divided by 0.37. Then I got 0.6085 equals x minus 6.2. I then added the 6.2 to the 0.608865, which gave me 6.80. This then means that 95% of the data of the set I chose is around 6.80 or less. To me, this project as a whole was very interesting. When I was doing my analysis, some things that stuck out for me were how low my first 3 quartiles were and how close the spread was and how it was skewed right. Something that I found to be particularly interesting, however, were how far the min and max were from each other and how low the 95% of my data was, since it was less than 7%. As well, something that I found to be interesting was how anything over 14 is an outlier. Thank you for watching my presentation, and please let me know if you have any questions.